Hello and welcome to ADGM Think, where we explore what leaders across the financial market really think. My name is Gabrielle Nzurlo, and I'm a financial regulator here at Abu Dhabi Global Market. I'm joined by Tristan Attenborough, Managing Director at JP Morgan, who has recently relocated to Abu Dhabi to lead the growth of the group's Corporate Treasury Services and Advisory in the region. Welcome.
Gabrielle, thank you. Nice to be here.
So, for everybody who's listening today, in this episode, we'll be talking about why treasury services are so essential to building a well-functioning financial ecosystem and really what JP Morgan is doing about it. So we'll be looking forward. So I'll kick it off by asking you a question about yourself, obviously. So Tristan, I did stalk your LinkedIn a little bit before we did this.
Thank you.
Need to do your prep work. So you're new to Abu Dhabi, but you are not new to the region. You've done a few years stint in Saudi Arabia previously. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, because I know you have many hats, and then a little bit about JP Morgan's presence in the region, a little bit about its history, and what led you to essentially decide to set up a larger presence here in ADGM? Big question.
Well, thank you, Gabrielle. It's great to be here. Great to participate in ADGM Think. So very briefly about myself. So I've been with the company 28 years in many different roles. And you're right, in 2010, I went to Riyadh to develop our business there, which is still flourishing today. So this is my second time in the region. Very excited to be here in Abu Dhabi. The firm has a very deep history, over 100 years in the region. It dates back into the legacies of the JP Morgan and Chase businesses over a great many years. And we're in 7 cities around the region. And our most recent footprint development, I suppose as we could call it, is here in ADGM, where we went live in the first quarter of this year. So it's really excited to be here and look forward to this conversation.
So let's talk a little bit about treasury and building a treasury center here in Abu Dhabi. So how does having institutions such as yourself, that obviously is a full Category 1 licensed firm, benefit the firms that are setting up?
Fantastic. Yeah. It's maybe just to back up a little bit on kind of what we mean by treasury and what we mean by treasury services. Fundamentally, it's integral to how a financial ecosystem operates. And I think there's 2 dimensions I want to build on in ADGM. The first is that we fundamentally support how a business operates every single day. We make sure that they have money where they need it. We make sure that that happens in the right currencies, in the right time zone, with the right frequency. And of course, we connect to our clients in increasingly different ways, but generally much more digital ways. So what we're trying to do is bring to the ecosystem a world-class, world-scale financial platform that allows our clients to operate effectively every day. The second dimension of that is obviously ADGM is a global ecosystem as part of a global business footprint delivered locally here in Abu Dhabi. So we also bring that global connectivity and that ability to manage global flows, which ultimately Abu Dhabi is increasingly involved in.
That is true. We have been witnessing an enormous increase in flows that are coming through Abu Dhabi, which has been very exciting over the last few years. Can you tell us a little bit more and elaborate more on the types of firms that you would essentially be servicing specifically? Because as you know, Abu Dhabi is now home to just an enormous amounts of different types. You've got, hedge funds, you've got broker dealers, you've got all sorts of entities. Who is your client? Who can you help best?
Yeah. Perfect. And let me color that in. First of all, a little bit of background on what we call JP Morgan Payments. So this is payments with a big P, and it spans everything from basic day-to-day operational services in currencies, accounts, payments, receipts. It spans digital connectivity, the ability to connect solutions and companies around the world. Liquidity management, moving money in and centralizing and managing people's liquidity daily. And then trade finance, working capital support, and our merchant acquiring business. So that's card acquiring and e-commerce. So that's the nature of our business. We move about $10 trillion a day around the world for our clients in 160 countries. So from our point of view, what we're trying to do is bring that ecosystem here. That platform services governments, central banks, sovereign wealth funds, all of the investor stable, so that's asset managers, hedge funds, broker dealers, insurance companies. but it also serves all of the global multinational clients we support. So those are both, multinationals that are not located or headquartered in this region, but also importantly, all of those that are located in this region, and then extends into smaller growth companies, fintech, high growth tech, and so on. So really this platform globally supports the entire commercial ecosystem, and that's what we're really excited to bring into ADGM.
I think what's been very interesting over the past few years is we've seen the region just grow in terms of importance on the global landscape, right? I love the fact that you've already been in the region for a few years, and then I believe you went back to London, and then now you're back here.
That's right, yep.
So you've obviously, I'm sure you've been coming in and out, but I'm sure you've seen the drastic change that's happened. Because this region is developing so quickly, and we do find ourselves at a bit of a crossroads, of trade flows and trade corridors going down. It does mean that we have certain specificities that I'm sure you have to think about and cater for.
Yep.
So I think I just want to talk to you a little bit about when you're working with the firms that you've mentioned, whether it's sovereign wealth funds, whether it's broker dealers, whether it's just multinational corporations, what are some key challenges they may have when they're managing liquidity, trade finance, working capital, just the risk of doing business here, which comes obviously with all the opportunities. How does you and your team essentially help them through that with your services?
Yeah, it's a great question, Gabrielle, thank you. And I think it's probably worth breaking down your question into kind of the client types we're talking about. Let me start with kind of the Abu Dhabi institutions, or indeed those in the UAE. What those institutions are increasingly doing is expanding their interest, not just locally to develop the UAE and the region, but also into global markets around the world. They've been long-time investors in assets around the world, but that asset profile is growing and developing. That means they have exposure to currencies, exposure to markets, exposure to money flows. And what we're here to do is to bring the support and management of that right to their front door. And that's very helpful when you think about simple things like time zones and working hours. And, obviously weekends and working weeks have aligned significantly over the last 10 years or so, which is helpful. But it's also more helpful not just to have the products and services here, but also the people that support them every day. And in our proposition, it isn't just what we do, but we bring the people who serve our clients, implement our solutions right here on the doorstep. So that's kind of part one.
Does that mean you're bringing a number of employees and relationship managers that will know these clients? They're relocating here?
Absolutely, okay. Yes. Yeah. So we're not just developing what we do, but also how we do it on the ground here with our teams. The second sort of community, as it were, is that inbound multinational. Think of the large European, Chinese, American corporates who, exactly as you said, see the Middle East region broadly and Abu Dhabi specifically as a great place to tap into shifting global flows. And if you look at where energy mix is moving, if you look at technology innovation, if you look at the impact of geopolitics, one of the things that I think makes the UAE and Abu Dhabi particularly attractive is they're very forward focused, very focused on what they need to do, what they want to deliver by way of growth, and not so much distracted by some of the things going on elsewhere in the world. And that's an important part of the certainty and the risk agenda a corporate needs. Let me touch finally on a very, very important sector, which is the investor sector, right? Very important to ADGM. And JP is a big supporter of the ability to bring operations here on the ground. Fundamentally, anything you do in the investor space ends up in money movement, and we lead the world in how we move money. So we want to bring access to a consistent experience they may have had in, say, London or Europe or New York or Asia, bring that consistency and service level here and allow them to flourish.
Well, I think you touched upon two very clear points. And very important, consistency, stability. I mean, with everything that happens and with all of the curveballs that business and life just throw at you, at least if you can count on knowing that your money is going to get where it needs to go.
Exactly.
And that your regulatory changes are going to be, well thought out and not abrupt, I think that goes pretty far.
It's very, very helpful, and there are other things that we invest heavily in which also come with that. So things like cybersecurity, really helping clients have that certainty, not just of where their money is held, so on our fortress balance sheet, but also when we move it, that it's moved securely and with integrity.
Very nice. So you did mention that obviously the Abu Dhabi vision is to not constantly innovate for the sake of innovate, but to be pushing an agenda where we can, provide the best service and the best products, and obviously just have a platform to provide a great experience for people, both the citizens here, both businesses that are working. And that obviously requires quite a bit of capital investment, which I believe Abu Dhabi in general does quite a bit of. But I also know that JP Morgan is also heavily investing and heavily exploring in new technologies in order to be able to also meet that same demand or expectation from clients for that best service. So do you think you could talk to us a little bit about how you guys are investing in order to, I want to say, stay ahead, but just, give that consistent and great experience to your clients, especially in a time when, there's so many innovation buzzwords here and there. What are some concrete use cases and what are some concrete things you guys are doing to build better services?
A really great subject. Maybe I can take kind of the first point you made first, which is really, I want to talk a little bit about what our clients see as the value here. So we talked about shifting global flows and the importance of this region. When clients expand globally, one of the things they do is they say, okay, well, what's the business reason to do it? But what risks do I have to manage too? And what businesses need is certainty. They like certainty. They like security for their business, but also for their people. And I think if you assume that clients want to be closer to their customers, closer to their flows, closer to their key markets where growth is happening, what they also want is the certainty of how they operate here. And where I would say ADGM differentiates itself is they make that very easy, right? The English law construct, the ability to support inbound firms, this has been both my personal experience and our professional experience. That support and certainty is very important in encouraging people to come.
Thank you. I'm just a small cog in the machine, but it's nice to hear somebody else say it.
That was certainly my experience, and I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. So that's absolutely the case. Now let's talk about kind of innovation. It's very hard to innovate without that foundation of certainty, right? You're making investment decisions, you're doing research and development.
Innovation comes with risk. So you're introducing new risk, so you need a stable base, right?
So from our platform and our world scale, and I've already articulated, the $10 trillion a day we move, that scale gives us a lot of insight into problems and challenges and things we could improve. So we've innovated in a number of different areas. Over 10 years ago, we established a blockchain center of excellence. Over a number of years, that has addressed practical problems in the movement of money around the world, in global clearing, in digital infrastructure and security. Today, we offer through our Connexus platform both support for digital asset infrastructure, so how you think about tokenization, how you think about taking assets and allowing them to be handled in a much more digital infrastructure. But we also, on the Treasury side, support digital payments. And what we're basically saying is, how do we take some of the friction points around managing and moving money every day and turn that into a digital infrastructure that allows us to move money 24/7, 365 around the world. And that's fundamentally where we're trying to put our innovation, not just into the ideas behind distributed ledger, AI, APIs, or virtual banking solutions, but actually how do they practically solve practical problems?
You look at the tools, right? Tools to apply.
Yeah, exactly. And in a world that's increasingly real time, we need to help our clients operate in increasingly real time ways.
So obviously, you know this, and everybody's listening to also know this. I'm a regulator, so I see risk, and mitigating those risks is one of the key things we do. One of the things I found very interesting about this, global payments and how we're really going towards a real-time payment system and infrastructure is the fact that with real-time, there is this additional risk that's introduced, right? Friction kind of slows things down. Can you just tell me a little bit more, because you mentioned it very quickly about how you guys are investing quite a bit in cybersecurity. And I think that's a very good point, especially for businesses. If you could just tell us a little bit more about that and your focus on it.
For sure. So the first thing to say is all of the innovations we do come from a point of not only our customer use cases, but us as a globally regulated, secure financial institution. So we're taking existing regulated products and trying to do them better. What we're not trying to do is create something, brand new in an sort of unlicensed, unregulated way. We want our clients want from us that security and that confidence. The cybersecurity element of that continues to be a key theme. And within that, there's lots of dimensions, but fundamentally, we invest over $600 million a year in our own cybersecurity infrastructure and defenses. Why? Because we serve our clients as well. We have a duty to continue to protect that perimeter and protect our clients. Central to this is about information flow. The details of your payment, the details of the money movement. Did you mean that? Is that what you wanted to do? So we use things like AI and pattern recognition to look at activities that customers have done before, look at activities they're trying to do today, and see if that makes some sense. So for example, with our payment control center, we're saying, you're making a payment at a time of day where you haven't done before. Does that look right? Do you want to do that? You're making it to a currency you haven't done before, or a counterparty you haven't done before. So really trying to help our clients add to their own control environment for better outcomes. At the end of the day, this is a reality of the world we live in, and it's better solved in a partnership rather than relying on any one solution.
Very good. That was a wonderful answer, and one that I think gives quite a bit of comfort, both to myself and both to the firms, that you are obviously working with and servicing. Thanks, Gabriel. Now, to close it off, because we are running out of time, I guess I just wanted to bring it back to a little bit of your own personal opinion and, your own advice that you can potentially give to our listeners. And there's quite a bit of, businesses in the ADGM community that do listen to this podcast. So what advice would you give to other global firms that are considering ADGM as a base for their regional treasury or financial operations? And what about the firms that are already here that might be interested to swap over to JP Morgan for their treasury needs?
Yeah, fantastic. So clearly we have full belief and confidence. We upgraded our license to a Category 1 license holder. We are live banking clients here in ADGM today, and we wish to do a lot more of that. We want to do that obviously because we want to support our clients, but we also have a long-term vision for the success of ADGM as an infrastructure for its success. My personal experience, I think I've alluded to, I think it's been fantastically straightforward, and the ADGM infrastructure is innovative, it's progressive, it's forward thinking, but it centers on, in my opinion, a very straightforward maxim, which is ease of doing business. Business is hard in the world we live in. Our clients are managing more risk in more time with a more digital world shifting around them. What they seek is that degree of confidence and certainty. So I would say, take the time to learn more, investigate, understand who's here that can already help and provide, including, of course, JP Morgan, and take the opportunity to come here and be closer to your customers. At the end of the day, I think a business will be more successful and more differentiated if it could be closer to where its customers are and where the flows are happening. And fundamentally for us, we are here to support our customers, their business success, and being closer to the flows they are interested in.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for closing that off so beautifully. I think ultimately we can agree that even in a globalized world, people and businesses want other people and businesses close.
Absolutely true. That is why we also bring our people here to help serve our clients every day. So Gabrielle, thank you. It's very nice to meet you. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Tristan, thank you for being here. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Thank you.